I'm Bill Burton. And once again, it is time for us to take a look at the science behind the forecast as I am joined by Wave 3 meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Good morning, Tawana.
Good morning. Today we're talking about, I think, a very pertinent topic, especially for anyone going on vacation, maybe along the Florida or the Gulf Coast.
Absolutely. Tomorrow is the 1st of June. That means hurricane season starts. So tell us about it. What's the forecast for this hurricane season?
Well, it's looking like it's going to be a significantly active season.
Hmm.
So NOAA meteorologists put out their forecast and they're predicting an 85% chance of an above normal 2024 Atlantic hurricane season
Wow.
with with a 10% near normal chance and a 5% below normal chance.
Oof.
So
Okay,
um
then.
something tells me that we're going to be very busy as meteorologists this season. And breaking
85% chance of above average. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, that's an incredibly high number. And then the numbers in terms of the amount of storms are also well above what we typically see. So
Hmm.
they're predicting 17 to 25 named storms. So that
Oh,
includes tropical storms all the way up to major hurricanes.
wow.
And they're of those named storms, they're expecting 8 to 13 of them to become hurricanes. So that means they'll have winds of 74 miles per hour or greater.
Okay.
And then in terms of major hurricanes, they're
Yeah.
forecasting around 4 to 7. So that means category 3, 4, 5. We could see around 4 to 7 of those
Wow.
for this season. Um,
Okay.
so that's pretty intense, especially when you look at the average of what we typically see for a hurricane season. Usually we see 13 named storms. Remember,
Hmm.
they're predicting 14. I mean, they're predicting not 14, but they're predicting 17 or 25 named
Right.
storms.
Yeah, that's a
That's
big difference.
that is a huge difference. Usually we see around 7 hurricanes or 3 major hurricanes. So it looks like we'll be well above average for this season.
Oof.
And a reminder for anybody who is wondering what does a hurricane need to form? Well, you need a pre-existing weather disturbance. That's the
Hmm.
first thing.
Okay.
You need low wind shear, which is a change in wind speed or direction over a particular distance. You need sea surface temperatures at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit over a depth of 150 feet. And by the way, in the end of May, we're already seeing that. It's not something we typically see this early.
Already?
So already it is incredibly warm in the Gulf of Mexico. And you also need an area of thunderstorms for all of that together for a hurricane to form. So
Okay.
we already have one of those factors, and we're just starting the season.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I know. So some of the factors that they're looking at in terms of building this forecast are: one, the near record warmth already being seen in parts of the Atlantic Ocean and Atlantic Basin.
mm,
Two, the La Nina that they're expecting in the Pacific, and weaker Atlantic trade winds and wind shear. All of those things can work together to enhance the formation of tropical cyclones this season. So a lot of people are like, what does the Pacific Ocean have to do with the Atlantic Ocean? Well, with the La Nina, which is the cooling of the equatorial parts of the Pacific Ocean, typically when you see that cooling happening, you have weaker wind shear in tropical regions. So that means there's nothing ripping these hurricanes apart as
mm,
they form. So
okay.
they're just lottie dying and going across the Atlantic basin because there's
Nothing
nothing to
getting in their
stop them
way.
from. Exactly. And then plus you have these abnormally warm sea surface temperatures. That is perfect fuel for these blossoming storms. And
Mm,
then we're also keeping an eye on Africa, especially West Africa, because with an expected above normal West African monsoon, we're expecting more African waves to be coming off of the coast. And these tend to be the longer lived intense hurricanes when they can develop.
mm,
So we're getting right into that pattern already. Now, when you have light winds in the tropical equatorial regions, that also allows tropical systems to develop very, very quickly because these light trade winds reduce how much the ocean can cool because it's not ripping that heat off and like taking it off into distance. So we have to watch a lot of factors over the next couple of months because remember, hurricane season goes from June 1st through November 30th. So we got quite a bit of time to be watching this. And for anybody who's freaking out and being like, oh no, we're going to have all these storms hitting land. No, 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 no. The hurricane outlook is not a landfall forecast. It's
Okay.
for the seasonal activity over the entire Atlantic basin. So some of these may be fish storms, and we'll be watching them for a distance, and it may impact shipping traffic across the Atlantic. Some of them may have landfall and impact your summer vacation. So it's just going to be really important to keep an eye on the Atlantic, especially over the next couple of months.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot to keep an eye on, especially with some of the conditions already being ready to form hurricanes. We have a better understanding now of how a hurricane can form and exactly what the predictions are for this upcoming hurricane season, thanks to this edition of Science Behind the Forecast with Wave 3 meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Thanks for the knowledge, Tawana.
Of course.